Well, hey guys, David here, and you may be wondering why I called this video Go Woke, Go Baroque. And no, I didn't spell broke wrong. Baroque is actually a period, goes from about 1500 to around 1780. It's considered the Baroque period or the classical period. This is when all of your, famous composers, Mozart, Beethoven, painters, Monet, Van Gogh, people like that existed and created. It was a Renaissance period. But the reason why I'm talking about that is because I had something really interesting happen to me over Thanksgiving. So I have an uncle who is one of these, MAGA guys. And we were talking, and he was telling me, I don't know how we got on the subject of classical music, but I'm a big Beethoven fan, and he was telling me about how all of that stuff is woke. And I was like, what do you mean woke? And he's like, that Beethoven and Mozart and all those painters, they were all, in the Illuminati, and they were all like, I don't know, in secret societies is what he believes or whatever. And I said, well, that's not really what woke is. And he's like, well, explain to me what woke is. And I said, well, what woke is, okay, today, gay people, trans people, things like that are coming out more into the main front, to the main stage. It's like we're recognizing that these people existed. Because what you need to understand about woke is, there's always been gay people, but if you're, I'm almost 50, so what I was always told is, like when my grandparents would talk about gay people, they would always talk about gay people as like, oh yeah, your great cousin or your cousin, he was gay, but he didn't, he did everything secretive. All woke means is people are doing it out in the open, where before the same people existed, they just did it secretly because society didn't accept it. And what Make America Great means is they want to go back to the 50s. And what the 50s was, there were still gay people, there were black people, but all of that was kept in the closet. They kept them in the closet. You could be gay, but you had to be gay secretly, and go to the bad part of town, which everybody knew about, but they didn't talk about. They just whispered about. And black people were okay as long as they were in their schools and in their part of town, segregation. And now, like for always, we know, everybody knew, every white person knew that black people were being abused by cops, but it just wasn't talked about. But today, everybody carries a phone, a camera in their pocket, and we see these incidents. It's not like it's happening more. It's just because everybody has a camera in their pocket, we see it more. Because it was happening before, it just was done in the shadows. So really all woke is wokeness is people finally admitting that these bad things are happening and that these people were being marginalized. We all knew that cops were abusing black people forever, but it just wasn't talked about. We all knew or had a family member that was gay that was in the closet, but he would bring his friend over for holidays, and everybody knew he was gay, but they just didn't talk about it. Now, they would whisper about it behind his back, but they just didn't admit it. And that's all wokeness is. And I was explaining to my uncle that, wokeness isn't what you think it is. Wokeness isn't, these painters or these musicians that were secretly in the Illuminati or they were Freemasons or whatever stupid crap you believe in. Wokeness is finally admitting that there were injustices done. Like, for example, if we admit today, for example, that Native Americans were treated very badly in the United States in the forming of this country, That's not some new revelation. Everybody knows about that. We've all read the stories about Wounded Knee and about given blankets that had smallpox on it and about broken treaties and about the Trail of Tears. We all learned that. We just didn't talk about it. Now, these marginalized groups are forcing us to talk about it. So that's what wokeness is. But the reason why everybody wants to go back to make America great again is they want to go back to when all of this stuff was still locked in the closets. Because Americans, we believe that you can be gay, you can be abused by the cops, you can be genocided if you're the Native Americans, and we'll admit that that happened, but just you, when you're out in public, just, smile. Just smile and don't talk about it. That's the main thing. America has always been about don't talk about it. Yes, it happened. Just don't talk about it. That's why people love to say, well, I wasn't a slave owner. Nobody that's alive today was ever a slave owner. So I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to acknowledge that it happened. So let's just pretend that, yes, it did happen, but when you're out in public, just smile and act like everything's okay. All wokeness is admitting that it happened and that it was wrong. And maybe we should do things to make sure it never happens again. And I think it's funny because most of the people who are against wokeness are Christians. And when I was a Christian, I was always taught that in order to get forgiven of your sins, you must admit your sin to God, ask for forgiveness, and He will forgive you. So I think a lot of people that are against wokeness are ashamed because they know how bad gay people were treated. They know that black people were horribly mistreated and lynched. And they know what we did to Native Americans. But they're like, that makes me uncomfortable. I want to just think of America like I see in movies where it's all great and the Americans are the heroes. And I don't want to look at the bad stuff because the bad stuff sucks. And the bad stuff makes me feel bad. And I don't want to feel bad because the people that are against wokeness, they are actually the snowflakes because it hurts their feelings that their country is not as perfect as they like to pretend that it is. So they don't want to have their feelings hurt, so they don't want to talk about it. They just want to imagine that everything is like Rambo and everything is like born in the USA, Bruce Springsteen. Everything is fun and powerful, and I hear people say on the MAGA side, we've won every war. America's, whatever we are, 15-0, which of course that's not true. They love to talk about World War I and World War II, but they never talk about Korea or Vietnam or especially Iraq or, all the stuff that went on there. They just talk about the glory days. Yeah, we kicked the Nazis' ass, back in World War II. Yeah, Korea is kind of a tie, and Vietnam, we really lost there and had to leave with our tails between our legs. But but we kicked ass in World War II. And they always love to say that we're number one, even though we're not even close to being number one in any category. I guess the only thing that we're really number one in is military spending. But it just makes me feel good to say it. So that's what wokeness is. And that's why they hate wokeness so much, because wokeness is being confronted with your past sins, asking for forgiveness, and moving forward. And I think that our country will never be great if we can't admit the mistakes that we made in the past. Because there's this old saying, when you do the same thing over and over again and expect different results, that's the definition of insanity. And I think right now, when it comes to the Republican Party and it comes to the MAGA people, this country is insane. So this is David, Zoe Zizzles. Make sure to like and subscribe. Bye.